Hello friends, this is Growl. In this series, I start with a brand new character in World of Warcraft. No previous achievements, no gold, no anything. Fresh at max level with no connections to see how far I can go. The one catch, I recorded every single minute of the journey and I explained my thought process and decision making along the way. Whether you're just looking to improve your skills and pug your way up, or you just want to come along for the ride, I hope you guys enjoy. Struggling a little bit sleeping lately. I thought maybe this would be a nice relaxing way to spend my nights working on some content, but it looks like everyone else may be as restless as us. So now on our single player to-do list, we need to venture into Torghast sort of and make a legendary, but I don't know if we need to do that quite yet. I think we got a ways out till we need to do that. Especially considering we don't have any gold, we're broke. We can't even buy a legendary even if we wanted to. So I think our current plan is just to grind out some random heroics. We get a little bit of extra something, I think, if we do the random. We'll see if we can find a queue. I guess maybe we should adventure into the Maw though. We probably should adventure into the Maw and at least start some of the single player stuff. Again, I don't plan on going too far, but getting the legendary power is going to be pretty sweet. We may as well knock some single player stuff out while we're queuing. I think I want a lot of this series to be educational and helpful to people who are trying to heal in group content, and I don't know how much of this series I want to be about me doing Torghast and single player stuff, so it's possible that I knock this stuff out, not a part of the video. Or maybe I'll just have one long video where I do a bunch of Torghast. Oh nice, we got one of the Revendreth dungeons. Take this quest. Oh man, our team's attacking already. What is going on over here? What is going on? Guessing we have a high level gamer in our party. So bold to do such a pull. Looks like it's our shaman. So we have a 251 enhancement shaman. He's just running ahead, killing everything by himself with his own belly. I can sort of understand how some healers might have some anxiety, or just tanks or anyone in general for higher level content, right? You get put into this stuff, but like all this content, everyone is just sort of, I don't know, like the content is already easy, and then you just have these people that are here for whatever reason pulling the whole map. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to drop Cloudburst and we're going to press Ascendance. We got a whole lot of mobs going on. We're also going to press our Spirit Walkers. I'm going to stand still and give my teammates time to come in if they want to help me soak. Throw down another Cloudburst, trying to use my interrupts when I can. It was a little scary, but boss died quick. Oh, we got some risks. Crit verse 197. I know I already have risks, but ooh, this is a nice upgrade. And again, you sort of see what I'm doing. I'm not even looking at the stats. Just looking at the number for now. I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, but it certainly makes things a lot more simple. But yeah, like here you are in these dungeons where you don't even have to do anything, right? The dungeon is basically done for you. And then pretty soon you'll get thrown into like mythics and mythic pluses, and you may like barely even know how to play your character. But first I'm gonna pop my Bay Transfusion there to give that heal. Again, always making sure I have my Cloudburst down if I'm trying to do some big healing. I think it'd be alright to put the healing rain down too. Healing Rain is not one of my favorite spells to use just because it's got a really long cast and it takes a while for it to really give you its benefit. It's good to use like preemptively if you think there's going to be damage coming ahead, but once we're in the midst of the pull, I don't know if it's always worth the cast. What levels are our Blood Decay? So our Blood Decay is 212. Yeah, I don't know what these guys are doing or why they're here, but I guess they're giving me a free ride. That swirly looked pretty scary, so we're gonna dodge our way out of it. Lots of healing to do right now, and we're not really kicking or doing any DPS or anything. We're just pressing our Cloudburst, pressing our Riptide, throwing our Healing Surge. Then, now that everything starts to settle, now we can maybe do a little DPS or try and get our bearings and figure out what's going on. But it's totally fine to go through a pull and do no damage, As a healer, your most important job is to heal, so... Guessing we're just going all the way to boss with this. I'm gonna use Bloodlust, I guess. The Shaman is just absolutely deleting everything. So this guy needs to hook me up with some gear. Not leather gear. Alright, we're just going in, I guess. Now I think there might be some damage coming up, so we'll throw down a Healing Rain. We'll get our Cloudburst. Got our Fey Transfusion. Guess these guys don't care about it. Makes sense, I guess. It doesn't really do any damage, but again, we're trying to practice the mechanics and doing things right, because eventually that stuff is gonna hurt. Speaking of hurting, our poor rogue friend, looks like we barely saved him. We got 2 debuffs. Follow that real quick. Wow, Revendreth defended at 75%. So does that mean we only need to do 1 dungeon and we fill this out? This will be nice. Because I think we get a little bit of gold. We might get a conduit. We get a renown. We get lots of stuff for doing that. Happy that we'll get that one out of the way. Can't even see what's going on. Okay, here's the boss. I was about to throw down a Healing Rain to prep for some damage, but I guess we're just mowing everything down. Oh. My team is doing like 10k DPS. Imagine this might be higher than what you'd expect in most like Mythic Plus runs. Now we have this buff here from the lanterns that we dragged in. Probably just take this buff through the rest of the dungeon. I assume this pack is going to evaporate pretty quick. Oh. Was easy, I guess. Got a lot of grinding to do. We're going to need a lot of gear, a lot of gold, so guess I can't complain about runs like these. I assume once we start getting into Mythic Plus, now I guess I sort of see the appeal of a series that we mostly focus on Mythic Plus and trying to get Keystone Master achievement, because I don't know how much there is to learn from some of these dungeons. Well, we've defeated Sanguine Depths in record time. I think this might have been our fastest one. Is there a chest? Oh, we got a new conduit. Well, this is not a Resto Shaman conduit, so we're not too excited about this. Where's our covenant thing here? Deposit this. You have a chance to kill leather, meat, and fish. Oh, okay. We'll take that. Here we can take our endurance conduit as well. Don't have many choices there. Oh no, no tank. Oh, the tank's here, alright. Oh, I have a chest in my inventory. Let me open this real quick. Got some stuff to sell. Oh wow, that's like 1,000 gold. Got like 1,000 gold worth of stuff and a new conduit. All these conduits we're gonna need to unlock eventually, so happy to get them now. Here we go. Halls of Atonement. Take a look at our friends' item levels. Alright, so we have a Windwalker that's 240 item level again. Not sure what all these people are doing in these heroic dungeons. What level is our tank? Look at his 187. Okay, so this guy seems reasonable. He's got a couple nice weapons. He's got his cape from BFA still on. So alright, this tank is a real player. Legitimate player. I pressed Bloodlust, but unfortunately I had a thing that doesn't allow me to be Bloodlusted stated. Gotta watch out for that. I guess it doesn't reset when you go into these dungeons. Although once you get into higher level stuff, it will. So I guess this is just a matter of keeping our friends alive and waiting for our Windwalker to blow everything up. Seems like he presses one button and does like half the pack's health. He's looting stuff though. These shards can do a bit of group damage. We always want to throw down our Cloud Burst and our Healing Rain if we have time. You can hear that cash register spell, that sound. As we start to do more and more of these dungeons, we can start to talk about some of the more, like, you know, the specific mechanics and the intricacies. So that's a spell that these guys have here, these collectors. Not this guy that's by the shard. Called Siphon Life, and it's a pretty nasty debuff that it puts out on players. Does a lot of damage. Very high priority that we dispel that. So that's why I have that sort of cash register sound. Have that specific to only that spell once it starts casting, so I can be ready to dispel it quickly, or it does a lot of damage. Again, we'll put our Healing Rain down for this Thrash. See that we heard that cash register sound and we dispelled. There can be a lot of stuff going on in WoW dungeons, and it's nice to have those sound cues. I know everyone learns sort of differently, but I think we can dispel this. And again, we've been a little lazy on interrupting stuff. Probably could have used our Wind Shear a couple times, but that's okay. Not always going to do everything perfect. Our tank's actually doing a lot of damage. For someone being not very geared. Kind of blasting some of these pulls. Follow and see where he's going. It kind of looks like he knows his way around the dungeon, though. We'll throw down a cap totem, stun everything. So that ring right there is this spell. The Hound's Master has an ability called Loyal Beasts, and when she drops to 50% health, she enrages all of those hounds. Gargans, or the dogs, or the bears, or whatever aminal you want to call them. And it makes them do a lot of damage, and they already do a lot of damage. So I have a notification on that spell as well. That's the little chimes, or the ring, or whatever. So one of our teammates got feared. I'm not sure what that was, but I dispelled him. Oh no, we got the neck. Normally would be a good item for us, but we purchased this off the auction house. But that's okay, because maybe we can save up enough gold to buy a ring. We can switch them out maybe, if it only lets us use one crafted item. So whenever you see a caster like this that's kind of far away from the tank and casting, that's always a really good high priority mob to interrupt. Because once you interrupt a mob in WoW, not only does it interrupt that cast, but it locks out all the other casts of that school of magic. So very often a mob will only have one school, and you can just interrupt it, and then once it doesn't have any spells, that's when it'll run into melee range. So again, we're kind of navigating this fine line here, trying not to pull any of these mobs, but, you know, we pulled one and that's okay. No problem with pulling stuff. Eventually, as you get more experience and you get more precise with navigating through the dungeons, there'll be a little bit more of a consequence for doing stuff like this, but no rush. Just gaming. By now, hopefully all you guys have the shaman rotation down pretty well. Putting flame shock on the boss. Lava bursting when we have time. Then when we need to heal, throwing up our riptides is sort of our first line of defense, and then throwing up some healing surges if we need to push the bars up a little bit more. I think there's going to be some more damage. We can drop our cloud burst, drop our healing rain, dispel this guy. You don't dispel the guy who gets cursed, he gets frozen at the very end of the cast. Unable to avoid that jump. So now we're getting another conduit. I don't know if it's because of our covenant progression or because you can't get them in normal, but we've gotten a lot more of these conduits. Good for us. See this caster out here? I was kind of doing this thing. Okay, we were able to stop him. Cycling between our interrupt and our cap totem is pretty good there. So we used our interrupt pretty early, and then when we didn't have our interrupt or our dispel, I threw down the cap totem to kind of stop some of the casts while I'm a bit helpless. Then, you know, by the time they get unstunned, we'll be able to dispel and interrupt stuff more. Alright, so our mage is grabbing one of these Stoneborn guys. We could grab this other one as well, but as a Night Fae, I don't have the ability to, so up to the mage if he wants to do it. So I still can Bloodlust myself, but I believe I Bloodlusted everyone else in my party. Okay, so things aren't going great here. We're taking a lot of damage, so I'm going to pop my Ascendants. Our team seems to be struggling a little bit with this ghost mechanic. So these ghosts, they pulse damage and you need to bring them into these lanterns, whatever, and they'll eat up the ghosts. But our party decided they didn't feel like doing that, and that was okay. It happens sometimes. Can't expect everyone to know everything. So in lower difficulty, we can focus down this mini-boss and kill him quick. But in higher difficulty stuff, every 30 or 40 seconds, he absorbs these souls in the crowd and heals up. So eventually this strategy will not work. Today it does. Maybe we'll just save our... Maybe we'll just save our Bloodlust for next time. The queues seem to be going fast. We're pretty much experts at this dungeon now. I feel like we've done it 2 or 3 times. Bam. Oh, and a ring? Beautiful. We got 2 pieces of loot this dungeon. We'd love to see that. Let's bounce out of here and check out what we got. Here's the question is, can we do a Mythic 0? Kind of wondering if we'll be able to sneak into a Mythic 0 group at this level. Let's put on this ring for sure. Let's just try. Go to dungeons. Oh man, this is scary. Hey, this group needs a healer. Let's see. I'm not optimistic. I'm not optimistic with a group letting us in, but the only way to know for sure is to try. Oh. Okay. Okay. We've entered a group for Mythic 0 the other side. Checking the HP of these guys. We are definitely the lowest HP by far. We have 26k, 42k, 4k, 30, 67k. Alright, well. The main problem with any groups that you can sneak into is that if the group is dumb enough to invite you, who knows who they're gonna invite. Like a fake nerf DH thing. Alright, well they're here. I'm not gonna expect them to summon me though. We'll start flying down there. It was our first Mythic 0 dungeon. You need to go to the dungeon physically. Now, if at least 2 people go to the dungeon, they can use this summoning stone here and summon you there. Since those 2 guys were already there. Have to make the walk. So I would say this group is likely going to be very polarizing. They're either going to be very good and they don't really care who they're inviting because they know they can do it with any healer, or they're not going to be very good and they were dumb enough to invite me at 173 item level or 176. Let's see which one. This is the default mount. This is like when you first get the game and you have your very first mount that it gives you for free. This is it right here. So well, this will be a fun adventure, let's say that. Our first Mythic 0 dungeon. We can get some mage food. I don't know if we're planning out what we're gonna do, or... Here, this guy's doing the impatient dance. Oh man, these guys have almost twice the health of the guys in... in the heroic that I remember. Yeah, these guys are living. Now we get to see what doing a dungeon is really. Still not terribly difficult. We're in there. Let's see this guy. This guy is 192 item level. Seems reasonable. I like our tank. He's taking his time. Okay, this guy puts out, there's lots of ground effects in this pack. So you see right away I move out here into the open just to give myself a little bit more room to move around. Now that things have stabilized a little bit, I can use my Fey transfusion. Our warrior actually has threat. You can see because of this red thing, this big warlord is beating at our warrior. Doing a lot of damage, and I guess he's pulling threat. But we're not dead yet. But we march on. I think if you make it through the first couple pulls of the dungeon, it's usually a good sign. Oh man, we need some loot here bad. If we can get some loot from this dungeon, this is going to be really, really us. Okay, so this Death Speaker guy is really big, so I'm going to try and do my best to interrupt him. Okay, so this is a big frontal here, this purple thing, so I'm going to stand out of the way of that. And we could have used our cap totem again. God, these guys are doing a lot of damage. These guys are blasting. You love to see that. Things are looking up. Now, one difference between Mythic 0 and all the other difficulties is actually mechanics are added. So the dungeons that we were doing before, I would describe as like neutered versions of the dungeons. And there are certain mechanics that are missing. And now that we're into Mythic mode, those mechanics are here. So we may see bosses in fights a little bit different than we saw them before. Okay, so this Hoodoo Hexer guy is the most dangerous caster in this pack. He has a spell called Healing Wave that essentially full heals whatever his target is. So I'm going to be patient and I'm going to wait for that Healing Wave and I'm going to get it myself. Just because I know it's coming and I know it's a pretty nasty spell. There it is, and bam, we got it. Our mage claims that he interrupted it, but... So we can use our purge here and get away these spirits. These spirits are actually very, very deadly. They will essentially just fixate you as a healer. And you cannot do anything to them other than dispel them. So this is the first time we've seen these. In the other side, there's these urns, I guess. I keep calling everything urns. And you can click on them. After a short channel, they stun everything in that circle if you saw that blue circle on the ground. One of our friends in this group is Night Fae, and he decided to use it. So I'm getting this lightning discharge on me, and I'm kind of moving away off to the side. And notice this Hexer guy has a lot of dangerous abilities, and I'm watching him pretty closely. Our team starts taking pretty heavy damage, so I pop my Ascendance. I made a little bit of a mistake there, and I didn't quite have my Cloud Burst up. I should have had a Cloud Burst up when my team was taking damage, but that's okay. You know, we're still not going to be punished super heavily. Then we can purge this and go. Oh, we got to make sure we keep looting stuff. Alright, we can Bloodlust this. This will be the first boss. As you start to learn the dungeons more, you'll learn exactly what to Bloodlust, but, you know, the first time you see a boss, I think Bloodlust is usually a good play. If you're worried about the boss fight, you can start off using Healing Wave just to try and conserve your mana a little bit. But you can see that the boss is already dead. So I think we need to worry about our mana too much. This bird is hitting me, so I'm kind of going to run in. Remember what I said about if you have a guy that's hitting you, it's a good idea to kind of run it into everything else. Your instinct when you're getting hit as a healer can kind of be to panic and run around and try and avoid damage, but In a dungeon, really what you want to do is run the mob into everything else so that either your tank can pick it up or your DPS can nuke it down. When you're kind of running a mob around in the corner, it's hard for your teammates to help you. And again, it's not to say at all when I made jokes about being 176 item level in a Mythic 0, it's not to say at all that I'm not capable of healing it. I often get asked when I'm streaming, people will say, you know, I'm this item level or I'm this, you know, anything. What's a good, like, where should I start? What stuff should I be doing right now? And the answer, honestly, is do as hard of content and as high of a level stuff as you can, always. And that's because, you know, WoW is a game where you have to play with people, right? So if people are willing to take you into a dungeon, then you are equipped to deal with it. So our warrior is actually going to use the urn here. He's going to stun everything. I was actually going to click it just to show you guys how it worked, but he's all on it. We can use our Fey Transfusion here. Zap that guy down. Things seem to be going pretty smoothly, but now you can sort of see how this is evolving more into like what a dungeon would look like. You know, the packs are still dying pretty quick, but they're starting to live. You're starting to see, you know, bosses live for 45 seconds or maybe a minute. You may have to deal with some of the mechanics. And this is a good thing. See how I'm refreshing my Earth Shield and getting my Riptide on the tank ahead of time before the tank even pulls. A great thing you can do as well, especially if, you know, your team might be figuring stuff out or whatever they're doing, you know, and you might be waiting around as a healer. Our mage is taking a very heavy amount of damage standing in these blades, and our warrior also seems to have threat. When damage is really spiky like this, we can just drop our Spirit Link totem, and this can kind of help us stabilize because this matches everyone's health together. So if damage feels really spiky and we don't necessarily know who's getting hit or how to save them, Spirit Link Totem is a great sort of emergency button we can use. Alright, here's our drill. And on Mythic, it'll be a good idea to... Let's line of sight this. I don't know how much damage... Let's see how much damage it does. Alright, it's chunking us a little bit. It's a little bit scary to stay out there. You know, we can, if we're a little bit slow and we don't understand what's going on, we'll be okay, but I like to see the mechanics start to hurt, you know? I want to see the pain. Alright, so now we got all these mobs coming together. We'll heal up our tank a little bit. I used my soul shape there to get as far away from my team as I could because it looked like they were running into me there a little bit. And I didn't want to stun any of them with this circle thing. We are pumping heals into our warrior friend. He seems to have aggro on a lot of these mobs. But all we can do is just keep pumping heals into him. And if he dies here, if he's soaking up all these spells and getting all this damage and he dies, we won't feel too bad, you know? We did what we could. But now we're starting to get into some situations where we might need to worry about our mana. Up until now, you haven't even been able to see my mana bar on the screen. Just because I haven't really found it relevant at this point. Like, I haven't been looking at it either. It's not like I'm hiding it from you. But because everything is so simple, we're like barely spending any of our mana. So we need to hide from this guy, so we're going to run back here. If we realize that our teammate might be in danger, it's okay to pop out a little bit just to sort of give him a heal real quick. Because the last couple pulses aren't going to kill us if we were doing the rest of the time. What's going on here? Alright, so we're pulling some stuff. There's actually a switch here on the left that if you're from the engineering profession, you can disable these blobs. Little Frogger game. He did that for us. I think getting engineering will be a good idea for us, but not right now. we can worry about that later. You know, right now the important thing is just getting experience, learning the dungeon, learning our character. Let's say you are in a situation where you want to do more solo stuff. You know, maybe you're just vibing out, maybe you're eating lunch, maybe you're, or let's say you have a lot of gold. Let's say you're coming back to the game from a long time ago and you have lots of gold and you want to sort of like buy some BOE gear and sink some gold into engineering. That's fine too. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're, you know, I mean, you see my account, right? I have absolutely nothing and we're doing just fine. All right, so I'd like this group is actually going at a very reasonable pace here. You know, they're not dilly-dallying around, but they're also not rushing us. This would be a sort of a perfect starter group, you know. I'll throw down our cap totem there just to stun everything. We can get a healing rain down. There's kind of like lots of different damage going out across all of our party members. We don't quite know where it's coming from, but it's not super lethal enough for us to be scared. He didn't fall off. It's funny because you do these low dungeons and everyone's taking their time and being patient and not falling off, but you do like a very high level dungeon with really good players and everyone's just in a rush to time it and you everyone falls off. It's just kind of funny how it works. Alright, we're approaching the boss. Uh-oh, where's our tank? Uh-oh. Alright, our tank's coming. Our tank's coming. We don't have Bloodlust for this guy, so we're just gonna have to wing it. The boss is casting Frostbolt. Seems like a good idea for us to interrupt it. I don't really know what this boss does, but we can drop a healing rain, drop our cloud burst. So there's this lightning that goes across the room. We want to avoid that whenever we can. You can see this guy has this debuff right here, right? This number's going up and up, and while it's going up and up, he's also taking more and more damage, so something about that debuff isn't good. Gonna make sure we're healing that. We don't quite know what it does yet. But this is the guy with these bomb squirrels, right? So as the, one little thing you can do is you can stand right on top of him and then just spam click him. You can spam click right on top of the boss, and then as soon as the squirrel spawns, I don't know if you call that a squirrel, but as soon as the squirrel spawns, we deactivate it. We got some sort of achievement, but I don't care about achievement, I just care about loot. Oh no, man. Dynamo. Oh my gosh. The stuff from Mythic, it's 210. Oh man. Badly. I could really use like a weapon or something. This may be one of the only, this might be the only Mythic 0 that we can sneak into. So we gotta hope we get lucky. So these masks, we can actually use our cap totem to stun these masks. And see how it stops the cast? Stops the cast and then allows us to stand there and gives us a little bit more space. Look at this brave group of heroes adventuring on the other side. Uh-oh. Hold this guy. Our friend wants to open this, but the range doesn't quite reach here. Mobs are everywhere. Things are starting to go crazy. So right away, what do? Press Ascendance. Because when we think things might get crazy, usually a good time to press Ascendance. Alright, so let's go over here. We can activate this here. And see, as soon as we finish our cast there, it stuns all these guys. And when they're stunned, they're very, very easy. I believe it's a 10-second stun, so you can see we almost cleaned up the pack entirely as soon as we got it off. Good here for us? Nope. Alright, well we're 2 of 3 areas down. Again, I think my quest log might be messed up. It doesn't show my quest log on the right side of my screen. But I think it's supposed to show like all the bosses that are in the dungeon. You really need some Mythic 0 loot bad. Really use, gosh, a 210 piece. That'd be a big upgrade for us. This area of the other side is actually one of the crazier areas in that there's just so many mobs everywhere and there's so many patrols that every group that you play with might do it a little bit different. So you kind of got to be on the lookout. You never really know what to expect. And as you get into more organized, higher level groups, they may pull more and more stuff in here because a lot of these mobs aren't particularly dangerous. Just a matter of, can you group them up effectively? Nuke them down. Oh, we're going. See, now we got 7. We got 7 mobs in here. Our warrior's getting beat up a little bit. Not sure if we'll be able to keep him up, so we're going to drop a spirit link for him, just to kind of help our tank regain control of all the mobs. And again, we don't need to kill any of this stuff, so we're just gonna keep holding forward and try and pull as little as we can. Not that there's anything wrong with pulling extra stuff, but if our goal is trying to get loot, none of these mobs are gonna drop us any loot. All the loot's gonna come from the bosses. I received Nature's Splendor. So this must be from my soulbind here, right? Nature's Splendor. You have a chance to obtain leather, meat, and fish when you kill an enemy. Cool. Hopefully that'll give us some gold. I don't know how much gold that'll give us. I'd imagine if it's giving us free stuff, it can't be that valuable. So one important mob, it died very quickly. It's just a little baby, it's those hatchlings. Those hatchlings will have a, I think it's like a 5 or a 6 second cast, and if that cast goes off, they pull everything nearby. They sort of like cry for help, and then everything runs. And it's important to try and focus those little babies down, kill them before they call for help. But none of the other ones do that. Alright, so we're making good progress here. We're almost to the 3rd boss, and then after we get to the 3rd boss, the last boss is immediately after that. So these little, you can see these curses going out. Again, every time my party frames are changing color, it's because of a dispellable debuff. So this curse goes on you, and it stacks up from 1 to 10. And you can see here, it says doing some jumping jacks might wake you up. And you can see that the curse goes up from 1 all the way to 10. And if it goes to 10, you are slept. However, if you jump, you can see it resets it back to 1. And so you just have to remember when you're in this area to jump now and then. Or you can remove the curse too. Generally speaking, as a healer, I try to remove the curse off of other people. Especially like the tank. Important ones, and then I'll just jump myself because I'll remember to do it. I'm gonna make an executive decision and I'm gonna bloodlust this boss. I don't think it matters too much, but I'm the shaman in charge, so we can use our fate transfusion. So we haven't got to this part yet, but when the boss uses this ability, we all gotta go in these teleporters and jump up in the sky before that goes off. And we're really hoping for an item right here. Oh no, dude. Oh, I need this trinket. This guy need this trinket? Oh man. Getting a trinket would be so big for me. Both of my trinkets are only 148 item level. I have a feeling he needs it though. Look. Oh man, he already equipped it. Oh man, that's the worst. When you want to see if a guy needs something and he's already has it equipped. This is kind of a cool item. Never seen this before. Oh, this reminds me, this is another trinket we can buy. This is called the Dark Moon Deck, and this is a crafter trinket. So this guy, you can see, probably an alt character because he has a lot of crafted stuff. This, I think, is a Korthia item. This is from the new open world area. Or not new, I guess, but... And then he's got some stuff from the auction house. He's got... I'm not sure what this is. These are from the auction house. This is some crafter stuff. Oh, this is all of his Covenant stuff, too. So he's using the Venthyr Covenant set. Yeah, this guy knows what's going on. He's being a lot more efficient with his gear than me. You can see that we're taking some group damage here. Trying to remain calm. Again, we're watching the boss here. Trying to dodge what we can. So again, now that we're in Mythic 0, there's going to be 4 portals that open up. My plan is just to follow whatever portal the tank goes into. Just to make sure that we'll be able to kill one. And if we don't kill all of them in one try, that's okay. We're watching the boss trying to dodge his stuff. Oh, this guy doesn't have too much health. We'll be able to kill this guy easy. I'll even save my... I'll save my Fade Transfusion for the next part. So one of the cool things about this is for each one of these guys we kill and activate, we get a little buff on the next platform. We didn't get to see it too much because the last DOS we did was a little bit messed up. We can kind of see each of the platforms from a distance, and it looks like all of our friends got all of them. This was a serious group of gamers that we managed to find ourselves in. How we found them, I don't know, but... we're blasted. The boss is already dead. Nice. 2 of them got the achievement for normal the other side. Oh, come on, we need an item. Oh, no! We didn't get an item, man. We snuck into a dungeon, and we didn't get an item. Oh, no. I was gonna ask them if they wanted to do more, but one of them already left. 2 of them already left. 3 of them. Oh no. Very nice of the mage to wait for me before he leaves the party, that I can use the portal. But we have a keystone. We have a keystone. Do we want to do a Mythic Plus? I think doing a Mythic Plus at 176 item level might not be a great idea. Or maybe it is. Let's see if we can find any. M0 need heals. Is this the same guy? No. Couldn't be, right? Let's try. Let's just try, see what happens. He instantly accepted us. This guy must be desperate. He instantly accepted us. There's 3 demon hunters in the party. All right. Well, here we are. I guess Mythic 0 is the move. I guess there's probably not too many people doing Mythic 0, and they're just looking for any healer they can get. Maybe it's the time of day, or I don't know what's going on, but we'll take it. What dungeon was this anyway? I didn't even look at the dungeon. Let's see. Oh, it was Plaguefall. Okay. Plaguefall it is. So I guess one thing I didn't mention about Mythic 0, but it's going to be important to consider, is that we can only do each dungeon in Mythic 0 for loot once. So now that we did whatever dungeon that was, DOS, we can't do DOS again until the weekly reset. So we're going to have to pick and choose and do each dungeon only once in these Mythic Zeros, but it seems like it's not too hard to sneak our way into these groups. Okay, hold on. Actually, let me look. My main account linked. Can people see? I'm going to look myself up on the ladder. People see that I'm like 3,000 points or whatever. If that's the case, this is... No, I don't think people can see me. I don't think anyone can see who I am. I'm so suspicious that people are instantly inviting me into these groups that I feel like they can somehow see that I'm like... I don't know how they could see, but... I kind of want to ask them, like, how come you invited me? I'm a noob or something, just to, like, see? I don't know. Whatever, you know? This is all I see. Look, I'm looking at... Oh, they're already in the dungeon. Okay, maybe I am a noob. I'm just sitting here waiting. I'm like, where are these guys? Where are these guys? Alright, we're here. We're here. Looks like they had it under control anyway. We'll drop our Fey Transfusion down. This guy's really big, so we're going to focus most of our damage into him if we're doing it. Our party's taking a lot of damage, so I'm going to drop a Healing Tide just to help a little bit. I don't know if we're ready to use Ascendance or anything yet, since I know the pack seems like it's almost dead. So it seems like there's some casts that are going off. I'm gonna try and use my cap totem to like stop the casts here. It'll reduce a little bit of the damage that's going down on our group. Maybe at the end of the run I'm gonna ask them why they invited me. It just doesn't make any sense to me why people are inviting me in the group when I'm so low. Maybe it's just that hard to find a healer for this stuff. No one's doing them. Alright, we got a lot of mobs here, so we're a little bit scared. We'll use our Spirit Link here. We're playing it safe, you know? So, funny story, when I first started playing, my very first character was a shaman, and I was embarrassed to use Spirit Link. Because here's the thing, right? Most of your abilities as a healer, your team doesn't really know you use them, right? So let's say you use Ascendance or Cloud Burst or anything, and you use it at a silly time. No one's really going to notice that you did it, you know? But Spirit Link, when you put it on the ground, everybody sees that you did it. And so I would actually be nervous about using Spirit Link because I didn't want people to think I'm like dumb and using it at a dumb time. And I would use it less, and I would be scared to use it just because I didn't want people to, like, because I knew people could see that I was using it. But that is no longer the case. Oh! Okay. So this boss spawns these little slimes everywhere. And if the slimes reach the boss gains health and maybe even damage too. So we can use our slow totems, our earth grab, our earth bind, our capacitor, just to throw it on the little slimes. Oh man, this 210 gear, we need it badly. Where is our 210 gear? Now we can see this is, I think, the third or fourth time we've done Plaguefall, and every single time we've done this route where we've just snuck along the left side and avoided as much as possible. Seems pretty reasonable, since we don't need to kill any of this stuff anyway. Trying to hug as hard as I can just because I really don't want to pull anything extra. Not that it's the end of the world if I pull anything extra, but just what you do in WoW. So in this little area, this mini boss here spawns these bombs. Uh-oh. Our friend is in trouble. We're spamming Healing Surge, doing the best we can. This mini boss here spawns these bombs that run around. You can see the timer above their head. And then once that timer gets low, they kind of put this swirly on the ground. Then they'll blow up everything. Uh-oh. So included in everything is part of our team. On top of that, we have this tentacle here, which I don't know if our team notices we pulled it. Uh-oh. Alright, so our Demon Hunter tank is trapped. Tentacle is grabbing our Demon Hunter tank. Our Druid is dead. Things are looking scary. So we pop our Ascendance. It looks like somehow our tank managed to get free. I'm gonna grab this guy and drag him over here. Oh, it looks like we're just fine. I think we're just fine. And so this is the first time we're going to talk about this lesson, and I don't mean to be picking on our teammates, but just to sort of demonstrate it for you guys. When you die, you don't want to release right away, because when you release your spirit in a dungeon, you go to the most recent graveyard. But for instance, in this situation, we don't even have a graveyard yet. So these guys have to run all the way from the start of the dungeon all the way back here, right? If they would have just waited and stayed dead and not released, I could have just rezzed them over here, right? These guys would already be here, I would have rezzed them and they'd be fighting with us. So it can be tough as a beginner to know whether or not you should release or not, but the most important thing to say is don't rush it, right? This isn't Call of Duty where you die and then you just slam the button right away to, you know, go back to life or whatever. And whether or not you come back to life is actually an important decision. And it's a very, very common mistake I see in lower level dungeons. Okay, so we have bad news here. We have another tentacle that was pulled. So I think this is an irrecoverable situation. So we have a tentacle that's very, very far away that's shooting us, that we're not supposed to have pulled. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say don't release, I'm gonna res. Or maybe we can just live. Okay, so one nice thing as a shaman is we can res, and once every 30 minutes we can res ourselves. Now it seems like our team didn't really want to listen, but that's okay. We're just learning. So now we can walk back a little bit since we have the time to understand what was going on. So this slime tentacle right here, what happened was our teammates released and they're running back through the dungeon to try and get back to us, right? But what happened is they pulled one of the mobs on accident and they didn't realize it. So while one of our teammates was running through the dungeon, they had a mob following them. It was this little mushroom guy. You see this guy right here? And this mushroom guy pulled these tentacles, these slime tentacles, and these slime tentacles have infinite range and they just shoot at you. Why that's a thing, I don't know, but anyway, this one guy here was pulled and it was just shooting us infinitely. You could see the stacks on our frames when they were there, and it was essential. Honestly, maybe we could have still lived. I didn't think we were going to be able to live, but in hindsight, maybe I could have tried a little bit harder to live and salvage the situation, but I sort of had the feeling that our team didn't know what was going on. Anyway, so a cool thing you can do as a shaman is your team dies and you can resurrect yourself once every 30 minutes. And so if you're in a crisis situation where it's irrecoverable and your whole team dies, you can just let everyone die, resurrect yourself, and then just continue on. However, it's a little bit more complicated than that, right? Because you need essentially your team to understand what's going on, and also for them not to release. And so what happened there was I died, I resurrected, but by then our team had already released and started running back, which, you know, again, is fine. We're in no rush. If we can sneak into a Mythic 0 group, well, so anyway, after all this, now that we all understand what happened, because that was like a pretty complicated situation, right? And as a beginner healer, you may have not even understand what was going on, right? Like, if you didn't understand what happened, you probably might not have even known that tentacle pulled or what was happening, right? You just see everyone in your party taking massive damage and, like, you know, your brain is going off. So then I'll show chat now because you see what had happened. So then this guy, while this was going on, I said, don't release, just res. And he just said heal, and then something, I don't know, some other language that had characters that I couldn't translate. And then he left our party. So, yeah, stuff like that'll happen sometimes. And if it wasn't, you know, let's say I was a new player, I would have had no idea what happened there, right? And I just see some guy yelling for heals and leaving the party, and I very well maybe could have thought it was my fault or I was doing something wrong, you know? And that's okay. You know, don't be too emotionally caught up with things being your fault or being worried about. No, it's okay if even if everything was my fault and things went wrong, it's just fine. So anyway, we just decided to continue on the dungeon with 4, I guess. One of the problems with Mythic dungeons is, you know, in order to get a 5th, we're not in this queue system like we were with Heroics or whatever, right? So we can't just get another guy zoning into our group. We have to actually find a guy dumb enough to come in here and come halfway through the dungeon. So I guess we just decided to continue with 4, which I actually really like that decision. Because this is pretty easy and we can manage it, but for people who this is like their normal level, they might be having a crisis situation here. Our druid just told us that he had a phone call, so I guess we're 3-manning this now. And you know, this is some of the dungeons that you'll find yourself in, you know, when you're just starting off and you're trying to sneak into some groups. You might find yourself in a dungeon like this. That's okay, you know. As long as you get loot. If you don't get loot, then it's miserable and you hate it. I'm gonna use Bloodlust. For no reason other than we're on a boss, and I have Bloodlust. That's a good enough reason for me. So this boss actually has a lot going on, and it may take a few passes of the boss to explain everything, but an important thing to note is this slime here is has a shield that it gives to everything around it, and so in order to kill anything near it, you're gonna have to kill that guy first. And it may disrupt things, because another thing this boss does is he puts these bombs, and if the bomb gets to, you can see the timer on the bomb. If the bomb goes off, it blows up and kills your whole party. So now you can kind of see where chaos ensues, right? Some of your team is trying to kill the bomb. Some of your team is trying to kill the boss. You have this purple slime running around that's stopping you from killing anything, because it's leaving giving that shield on everything. But luckily, you know, not too tough. This guy is 206 item level, and this guy is 212. So these guys aren't super geared, but I would say they're a little over geared for Mythic 0 probably. But that's okay. Honestly, these guys are lower than a lot of the guys we were playing with in our normal and heroic dungeons, so, and we're 4-manning it. Honestly, we're making pretty... Ooh, I need to loot this. Sometimes you have to walk into bad stuff to loot. And again, right, we kind of know that there's a better way to get around this, right? We've been through Plaguefall before, and we know that we can actually go around this way, because we've been with a group that's done it before, right? But we're just following the tank. We're not, you know, there's no reason to tell the tank, oh, there's some better way to go or anything, you know, we'll just... follow the tank. Don't worry about what we're doing. Don't worry about what he's doing. You want to tell the team where to go, then you pick tank. You might feel like it's a better use of your time to try and sort of like organize everyone and tell people where to go and that sort of thing, but ultimately I think the best use of your time is just to focus on you and do the things that you can do best. Just try and, you know, play as well as you can. And this shield is brutal. Probably should have used my cap totem a little bit earlier. But we're almost to the home stretch of the dungeon, so we're definitely feeling good at this point, even though we only have 4 people. I think there's some invisible spider about here. Yeah, we found it. And nothing wrong with, because we have 4 people or because we feel like we're under gear, just taking it slow. You know, again, there's the other tank that we played with that took this one spider and pulled it with all this stuff and went a little bit faster and saved some time, but there's nothing wrong with taking it slowly. I think as a healer, it's important to appreciate both sides of it, you know? Like, it's nice to go fast, and it's also nice to do some challenging stuff and, you know, be really engaged and get practice. But sometimes it's also nice to just take it slow and not have anything difficult. We can use our capacitor on these guys. So it looks like we pulled this pack. We still have this archer over here. It's a little bit scary, so let's pop our ascendants and prepare to have to do a little bit more healing. Just because we know we have these 2 archers that are just gunning us down from all sides. These archers also summon these spiders, and I probably should be trying to interrupt these spiders too. One spell I haven't used yet is my Earth Elemental. It's not the strongest tank, It's strong in some of this lower level content, but once you get into harder stuff, it dies really quick because it doesn't really scale with anything. So in a situation like this where there's lots of different mobs running everywhere and things are a bit hectic, you can kind of pop this guy. Or Splendor. So it looks like we get about 1 per dungeon. Do we have these in our inventory? I don't know if this is worth it. I think we're just getting junk from these. Maybe we can try and sell them. So now we have the new mechanic. And the mechanic of this boss is you have to be close to an ally. If you stand away from your ally for too long, you get encased in this like webbing. You get stunned. And that wasn't there in some of the easier dungeons. But now we have to, not only do we have this stack up mechanic, but we have to deal with trying to break out all these adds from all these spider webs. You can see our strategy differed a little bit. When we were doing the easier dungeons, everyone just kind of sat there by the boss and killed it. Now that the boss is living a bit longer, we kind of have to actually think about what's going on in the fight and how to deal with the mechanics. But, you know, at the same time, it's just the same old, same old. Keeping our Earth Shield, spamming our Riptide. We can use our Fey Transfusion here to blast all these adds too. And we're on the home stretch. Did I loot the boss? Yeah, I did. Kind of autopiloting here, but I just realized, like, oh no, I actually had to loot the boss. Oh man, have we gotten anything yet? We haven't gotten a single 210 piece. Not one single piece. We have to get something from the last boss. There's no way we don't, right? There's no way we don't get anything from the last boss. Have to. We decided to do these guys in the back first. I don't know why, but I'm okay with it. I think if we made it this far, we're fine here. Not too worried about the last boss, but hopefully we actually get to demonstrate how the mechanics work. Hopefully the boss doesn't die so fast that we don't get to see anything. Alright, the final boss. Only 4 people? That's okay. We don't have Bloodlust yet. I have 2 minutes left on Sated. So I'm kind of watching it. We might get to sneak in. Let's talk about how we're going to do some AoE healing. So first we're going to drop our Cloudburst. I'll put Riptide out at as many people as we can. Then we're going to drop our Healing Rain. And then we still kill the boss too fast. Don't need to do any. But it was the thought that counted, right? You know, notice they were chasing down some of the ads, but the most important thing is these tentacles here. Uh-oh. Luckily, our Feral Druid can res, I think. one of the benefits of bringing a class that has battle res. Now again, there's an engineering item that we can buy later that allows us to res that we will definitely pick up once we can afford it. So anyway, we're putting our Riptides out. We got our Cloudburst down. We put our Healing Rain. And we can just press our buttons, you know. Whether we want to use Fey Transfusion, we can use a big cooldown if we want to. Alright, we need to channel our energy here to get a good item. If we do our first 2 Mythic Zeros and we don't get an item, it's gonna be very sad times. And actually, as a healer, you see how I'm kind of avoiding these mobs, actually. I'm doing my best not to try and attack them or heal or anything, because they're gonna run after me, right? I don't want to make my tank's life any harder than it has to be. Since the boss is getting low, we can just pop our Ascendants, because why not? What are we going to save it for if not for this? We did it. It's like Plaguefall. Alright, come on. We need an item. Alright, we got the same shoulders. We got the same shoulders that we got before. We got the same shoulders, but we'll take the upgrade. You know, we'll take the upgrade. 177.8. Let's see. I'm looking at the loot that my team got. It looks like they didn't get anything that I could use. They're all leather. That's maybe a small piece of advice. Now, again, we're a little low level. Beggars can't be choosers. But if we can find some friends or some guildies or some, you know, whatever that has a similar armor type to us, that way we can trade stuff better, right? Like, we can't use any leather items and they can't use any mail items, so for the most part we're just sort of on our own with loot. Thanks for watching. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I'll be releasing regular episodes, so make sure you subscribe to my channel if you aren't already, and click the bell to get notified when the next episode is out. I also come out with regular guides for healers in World of Warcraft, as well as videos explaining UI and all other sorts of things. If you enjoy content like this, I'd also highly recommend coming to check out my stream at twitch.tv/yumytv, where we're always gaming there. The link is in the description, and happy keying.